Arkadaşlar programımıza hoş geldiniz. Satın Alma Kafe'nin ikinci toplantısındayız. Biliyorsunuz ilk toplantımızda Satın Alma Kafe'nin lansmanını gerçekleştirmiştik. Ve orada size Bengt Erlandsson'un ilk toplantımızda ilk misafirimiz olacağını söylemiştik. Bugün kendisi bizimle birlikte ve teşekkür ediyoruz kendisine. Şimdi tabii İngilizceye döneceğiz. Toplantımız İngilizce olacak. Ben zaman zaman eğer buradan sorularınız olursa onları yanıtlamaya çalışacağım. Sizleri görebiliyorum sorularınızı buradan. Şimdi Bengt'e dönüyorum arkadaşlar. Hello Bengt, welcome to Satınalma Cafe or in English Procurement Cafe. Thank you for joining us in this meeting. People were asking me who is Bengt for a long time now because I was telling about you in my training courses when I'm in the class with the students. I was telling Bengt did this, Bengt did that, he told me this, and this is what he showed me, etc. And that's where the idea came from. When I started this cafe and a series of meetings, I said, okay, it should be Bengt that I start with, because when I was telling my students, I realized that most of the things I'm telling them, I've also learned from you. So they can now learn from you directly in this meeting, and they might ask some questions as well. So Bengt, we worked a long time together in Carlsberg, and we achieved a lot of things together, but you were already famous when you started Carlsberg. You did great things in IKEA too. You were in the cover of the procurement magazines, etc. Of course, before you came, we started searching on the Google, who is this guy, etc., and said, oh, a famous guy is coming to our company. Then we started working, and you started with very, very ambitious targets. Before you started, we heard this X% that you promised or you estimated, and then we all thought you were crazy, to tell truth. Is this guy real? I mean, how will we get there? But when we started, and also when we looked at what you had done in IKEA after we started, we saw that that was achievable. That was really it was very ambitious target, but not very easy target, but it was not impossible as well. So first, you are a transformer. When you start a company, you don't just go with the stream, you change things to achieve almost impossible goals. How do you define your targets? When you start a company, where did this X% come from? How did you not be afraid of not being successful? I mean, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Thank you first, Ozan, that I'm invited to the cafe. I'm missing the good coffee from you, but maybe I can get it later one day. But I think it starts, of course, somewhere where I'm raised, that you can do more, you never be satisfied. And then also, I think my journey during IKEA was raising me here. That if we really want to achieve something, we need to do something absolutely more or different than our competition is doing. And I think that the famous Ingvar Kamprad in IKEA, he always challenged us in all areas that very good, but not good enough. So, and I think it started there. And then I think it is also a little bit, shall I say, the chicken and the egg. I mean, if you don't put a high target, then you can always manage somehow squeeze out a little bit here, a little bit there. But if you really put tough goal target on yourself or your team or what it is, company, then you have really to think out of the box. Then you have to rethink how to do it. And I think that is probably where it starts. Put enough high target or ambition to reach, and then try to find out how to get there. And again, not putting impossible target, because that is also killing, of course, the the team spirit and everything, and also you will not be trustful to your stakeholders, you have to deliver. So it's a nice balance to be on. Promise enough, but not promise too much. If you promise too little, you're not getting it a chance. So it is a chicken and the egg a little bit here for me. So yeah, I think it's where I'm coming from.
But I mean, is it like, fortunately, it's not the procurement people who are hiring only when they hire a CPO, because then they would maybe say, okay, we will hire whoever promises more. But that's not the case. I mean, we don't do tenders to hire procurement people. We also need some reliability in the background, of course. I mean, putting high targets is important, but you, as you said, you also feel under those targets. But I remind my students in my courses the words from John F. Kennedy. He said, "Man on the moon in this decade." And they didn't have the technology, they didn't have any vehicles, or they didn't have any astronauts to do that. But as you said, you put the targets first, and then maybe you think about how you do it. But I want to ask you about when you start a new company, do you go for the saving first? Do you go for the strategy first? Or do you go for changing the processes and procedures first? And which one do you find more important, and how do you approach? I mean, when you start a new role, how do you analyze and pick the starting point for yourself?
I think to survive today in all competition, you have to go for, end of the day, for me, it's taking, and now I'm talking about procurement. We are here to of course, we should secure quality, supply, sustainability, and all this stuff. They for me, they are basic things, have to be there. But of course, we have to go for the cost out. So we as a company, we can compete on the market with our products. And that's my say fuel for moving on. Of course, it's not only about savings, but first of all, you have to deliver, to get your say acceptance, permission, and all these things. When you're delivering and over-delivering, then you get all freedom you want in the world. And that is, I think, a little bit what we achieved as well. We have to, first of all, to build our reputation, earn our reputation. And when we have been doing that, then we also got the chance to change things in a way what we believed in and believe in what is good for being in the procurement organization. So I would say I can't make a strategy day one, and I think that's waste of time as well. Of course, you have to have some ideas and plans, but I think go for the business first, and then you can start parallel, slowly, surely build your plans
with the others. Okay.
Then maybe I should add, of course, it's not bad if you have a chance to have your 100 days like the president of the US, that you can learn how it works and understand the business. When you're coming to a total new business, of course, it's good to have a good understanding what have been done, and so you're not kick in open doors that's not needed.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. We see procurement manager in a difficult position. I mean, you have top management on top of you, and then you have a team looking at you. You have internal customers or stakeholders pushing from one side, and then the other side you have suppliers. They have their needs, but also you need to use them. So procurement manager is in a very difficult position, and you have to be able to manage all these four in all directions. But I want to start with the top management, because most of our followers here, they mention that top management doesn't spend enough time with procurement. Top management doesn't really, they only ask for results, but they don't give mandates. They will never be able to do a transformation. But also, I mean, if I look in the past, when we were in Carlsberg together, I remember having long, exhaustive meetings with the top management, with the executive committee, and they really spent time. Of course, they benefited from that as well. But how, as a procurement manager, as a leader in procurement, were you able to draw their attention into procurement? How were you able to get the mandate from them and make them support you in all areas of the business?
But I think it starts a little bit that you have an ambition, and you have ambition target you would like to create, and I think most or all leaders I have met so far in my career, they are interested in that for big achievement. Mm-hmm. But that is of course easy said. Then you have to also to deliver the things and showing progress in what you're doing. That you should always over deliver a little bit. Then you're on the safe side. But that should still with the tough say ambitious target. I think this is a little bit the key to get visible in to top management, and you have not too big chance to do it. You have a few times, and you have to take the opportunities and really hit the target or take the chance when you can and do that and to be visible.
Okay, but can we also say that you need to speak their language? I mean, procurement people have a procurement language. We talk about savings.
Yeah.
We talk about some achievements, but those terms in the financial language or top management language, it's also a little bit don't exist. They don't exist there. They talk about profitability, growth, and they talk about balance sheet and cash flow. So actually, you also need to talk their language a little bit. And so you draw their attention to.
But I fully agree that you need to speak their language so they understand what your impact is bringing to the table. And is that to the CFO you're talking in free cash, that they understand when we are talking payment terms or such thing. But free cash. Mm-hmm. Maybe I accelerate a little bit here, but I agree with you that is you have to use their language and use what is important for them. I think it's on the sales side, marketing side, innovation is very important and all that stuff. That's very clear that you have to do. But again, I think how we can explain the savings, how they are hitting the P&L bottom line. I mean, if you want to have the same effect by selling more, you maybe have to do it 10 times, or depend of course of your margin. But it's start to use easy example of what we are bringing as a procurement organization to the table. That makes sense, and try to get the chance to present, to be in these forums where you have the top management. That's also important. You're getting closer to them.
Yeah, at this point, maybe finance departments are the best friend to procurement team, because they validate the impact on the financial tables for what we have achieved, and so they can tell the top management exactly what's going on in the finance language as well. Yeah,
it is of course very good, easier if you have the top management behind you. If you have someone really in the top who is your sponsor, who is understanding what you're doing, and I think that is important, and that goes not only for the result, but it's also going to get resources needed. You can do things on your own, but I mean, to work with the total value chain is over time is necessary if you would like to bring the sustainable cost out It's not just squeezing a supplier. It's really to build win-win situation, and then I think you're doing the good job.
Yeah, yeah. Great. So I'm going to another direction. That direction is the theme, procurement theme. First, how did you convince your team about your crazy targets? I mean, I was there, I know, but maybe our audience would like to know more about that. How did you convince us? How did you start? Or did you choose the ones that are more inclined to believe you? Or how does it go?
That's a good question. I have been thinking about that. No, I think first of all, I think most people like to be challenged, and you have to tease them a little bit. That why can't you do that? And then you started to get competition in place somehow between the buyers, between teams or countries or whatever it is, and I think it must be fun what we are doing. If we don't have fun, it is then it doesn't work somehow, and also recognition when someone is doing something good, that you have the success stories, that you share that, and now Usan, he made a 10% cost cut or whatever it was, and then we have some fun about that.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, but I think it is both to challenge the stick and the carrot all the time.
Yeah.
You have to give a task. You have to follow up. You have to be very close to what's going on, and all the time when you have your category meetings, council or what you call it, that you listen to the presenter, to the buyer, and then you challenge them, her or him. Have you tried it? Have you tested it? And there you can throw in some crazy ideas. But again, doing that, not just pushing with a stick. You have also to give carrots. And then, of course, when we are delivering things, that you also recognize that and you're sharing it, the success. And I think also for a lot of the people in the teams, that is not me, it is you, the team, who was doing that. And I can bring it to the top management now that he or she have been doing that and that. And I think this is also giving motivation for the team.
But of course, being in a global company, you manage a team from many different cultures. But just a second.
You are frozen.
I'm frozen. I'm starting again. Just a second. Technical difficulties I'm having now.
Yeah.
Just a second. But I will ask my question anyway. You were working with a team with people from a lot of countries, and Turkey is also very diverse in itself from the culture point of view. If you look from north to south, from east to west, the culture in Turkey, when I talk about culture in my trainings, I always say, look, a guy from Ankara and a guy from Çorum, they are more different from each other than a guy from Sweden and a guy from Denmark. I mean, you have in Europe a very unified culture. Of course, you have your differences, but so I think our audience can learn a little bit about how you approached different cultures in your team, and what was the biggest difficulty during that journey, except for having me in your team, of course.
No, but I believe, first of all, I think you need to believe that the diversity is good, that you have different type of people in the team. That's clear. We are coming in with the different experience and knowledges, and and so forth. And we can build on each other. We need to respect each other, and then we can build on each other. And I think that's really great, and it's fun that we are not all the same. Absolutely, it would have been boring and difficult probably. So I think that creates some time of atmosphere, momentum, and by having different people who can challenge each other with their experience and values and so forth. Then it's difficult to say who is more difficult than the others. I more agreed with you that maybe if you take Scandinavia, we have Danes, Norwegians, Swedes. Okay, Nordic, we have Finns. Yeah, we are similar, but we are also very different somehow. But it makes fun. And South Europe is different again. Then you see the other differences where we in the Nordic, we are very slow, not speaking. And in the South, it's much more lively and arguing and all these things. But I used to say, doesn't matter. It is when we bring all this together, we are really creating the benefit of it, because we need all type of people, and it goes for female, male first, I believe, and then it goes for different cultures and countries in the second row, and that's. Yeah, and then maybe on top of that, you have some specialists, but you have also some who have a maybe more commercial thinking, and so all this type of diversity is really important to bring to the meetings, because then you get all the type of ingredients that you need to have a good soup end of the day.
So having more diversity means having more skills actually on your team, and having more competences in your team, and this enriches your team, and of course leads to the success. Okay, thank you. So let's talk about some little kingdoms in the company. Those kingdoms, of course, we need to understand that every department in a company is a kingdom in itself. And of course, if you are going global, or if you have multiple locations, each of these locations are also a kingdom in itself. I use the word kingdom because, of course, they have their power. They want to keep it where they have it. But also they have their own interest. They are evaluated from their own targets. We also need to understand from that point of view that they have their own goals and achievements, etc. How did you approach your stakeholders? How did you approach different departments? Because another complaint we have from our procurement colleagues here in Turkey is that whenever I want to change a supplier, it's always the internal customers who stops me. Or whenever I want to change the way of doing things, we have leakages in the process. Oh, no, they don't want me to touch it. So how did you approach the internal customers, and how did you convince them to support and follow your goals?
I think that's a good question and difficult. But I would say many times I recognize exactly what you're saying. That you have a resistance to change. And that goes for a lot. It can also go for procurement itself. That it's easy to stay what we have. We know what we have, and why should we change? And then we create more work for ourselves. But when it goes to the stakeholder, and you need resources, maybe the one thing is negotiating and get out some cost. But I mean, if we want really to do the big things, we have to work in the value chain, as I said. And then you need to have your stakeholders' resources. And if they don't see the benefit by doing this project or exercise or what you call it, you have very difficult to get them supporting you. So again, there must be a price tag somewhere, or size the price of what you're getting for that effort. And I think that is the way I have mainly managed that to get all my stakeholders behind and supporting me. There must be a carrot, something for them that they benefit from, and what makes them shining and not me. But then it's much easier. So
yeah.
So again, if the benefit is not the Mickey Mouse, it's big, then it's easy. And then when you have just got your stakeholders with you and supporting you, then I think it's easier life with other things afterwards.
Of course, I also witnessed that you came up with this shared KPI concept. We shared some of their KPIs on productivity or sales or other stuff, but also they shared some of our saving or cash flow KPIs. So that actually helped a lot, I can say. But you also came up, I think that was also the first time in Carlsberg, you came up with service level agreements with them. So when you went towards the direction, you promised that you would keep that level of, I don't know, productivity or level of delivery on time, or, you know, you came up with service level agreements. How did you define them? Did you negotiate those service levels with the internal customers, or did they come from the top management?
No, I think when we agreed on this service level agreement, it was, of course, a discussion, negotiation, or what is it say, with the stakeholder, that that they could trust what we promised, and of course we have to listen to their expectation and their need. What was more important? Was it getting the supply, or getting it the exact hour or day, or was the quality more important, or what was it in it for the stakeholder? But I think it also we used, of course, a lot of historic data, so we understood what have we been doing, and then of course we have to sharpen up this a bit. But it was based on facts somehow. Plus we have ambition on top of that to increase our performance, and that goes for quality, service level, innovation, whatever it could be.
Yeah.
So I think it's also important. Maybe it goes for everything, and my experience over years is to get what you measure.
Exactly.
Transparency, figures and facts in everything what you're doing. You get a good controller on your side, the best one in the world, because that will help you to create this trust. For you also know, we have heard this funny money, wooden dollars, or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Not delivered. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think here is important that we can meet our stakeholders with figures and facts, exactly, and that we have a handshake. Yes, you can find it in the P&L, or you can find it here or there, but what it is, of course. So create transparency, measure things, and share the performance with your stakeholders, and keep them up to date here.
Okay.
Close relation.
Thank you, Bengt. Last point is the suppliers. I know you did not really, you did not join every meeting with us, with the suppliers, but you were quite also close with them. You stepped in where you needed to, and with some of them you kept the arm length distance, and some of them we went into some huge projects together, and even building factories. And I remember you were very sensitive about our suppliers. I remember that coming from Turkey, I suggested prolonging the payment terms at that time, and you were quite angry with me for suggesting that, saying that you want to protect your suppliers. You don't want to push them where you don't need to push them. But we found an interim solution with that supply chain financing, of course, I mean, where both we could win and they could win. I mean, of course, coming from Turkey, we have a more brutal environment here in procurement. This is how we are trained here on procurement. But anyway, you approach suppliers in a very close way, but also not very close. How did you manage your relationships with the suppliers, and how did you use them for achieving your goals?
But I think it's somehow common sense. You need to treat your suppliers in a good way. You need to build a relation and trustful relation with them. If you're cheating them, they will cheat you. It doesn't work over time, and have nothing to do with competition. I mean, the suppliers we would like to work with, they must be extremely good, extremely strong to keep their business. But if they are good and have the ambition and sharing their efficiency gain, of course we should share the benefit. And this is I give them something and they give me something. I think that is the way it should be. But the day we start to cheat each other, then I think it doesn't work. But I have no problem to be transparent. Say, guys, if you don't move, then I move the business from you. I can, but I think it's not to be hard. It must be to be very clear. And I have one boss. He told me, if you don't tell what you want, then your opposite stakeholder, who it is, need to guess what you want. So please speak out and tell what you want. And I think this is a good way. If you want 10%, tell 10%. Don't play any other game or what it is, quality or rocket on the moon.
Yeah, I remember some suppliers laughing off the table when we talked about our targets, but then they worked with us to get there. Because we were not really, as you mentioned, we were not trying to kill them, but we were trying to get the cost out together and achieve something together there. How do you see current supplier management systems? I mean, performance-wise or analyzing their strategic value? Do you think procurement is in the right point, or are we still using personal gut feeling about the suppliers for measuring them? Do you believe in the systems that we use currently in procurement?
I believe in figures and facts somehow as a base, but also you need your gut feelings also. Because there could be a good company who getting in a new leader who is not, say, in your direction or opposite. I think it's important to use both the brain or figures and facts, but also your gut feeling, because end of the day it's about trust and believe and that you have something you target together with the supplier. And then if you don't bring all these things together, then it doesn't work. And of course you have also made up your mind why you would like to be with them, because they have maybe the possibilities, the skills, they are in the right place on the earth for that type of production.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Anything else you want to tell us, except for these questions that I've asked you?
But I think, and I hope you also remember still that you need to have fun.
Yeah.
And creating this winning behavior with your team, getting this that you have the attitude of team can do attitude. Nothing is impossible, and let's try. And it's really good to have crazy ideas. Don't kill them, just test them and try them, and so forth. I think that is we are too fast to kill ideas, and that's also learning from IKEA, from Ingvar, that the idea what we have not tested, it's a bad idea. So so I think as much as possible on the table, and then of course you have to prioritize and so forth. But I think there's too little of crazy ideas, to be honest. So good. Okay. I'm open for question.
Now I will ask our audience. Do you have any questions to Bengt Erlandsson at this point? But the streaming is a bit delayed, of course, so we will have to wait a little bit after asking that. In the meantime, before the meeting, there was a comment under the announcement of this meeting. One of our followers asked, he has lived in Finland and he really enjoyed products of Phaser Group. And he's asking, do you have any opportunity or any probability that you will start operating in Turkey and selling your products here or opening your shops here in Turkey?
I hope we are selling our stuff at the airports, at least on the travel retail, that we are there when we now got it to work again. Of course, we are looking into to the different opportunities, and we are not a volume company. We are maybe on the upper end of products. So I'm sure that you have shops as well in the country who could be a good platform for our sale. On the other hand, we are quite active on the procurement side in Turkey, and that is something what we will further develop here going forward.
Okay, so I will switch a little bit to Turkish and ask our audience. Arkadaşlar, Bengt'le olan soru cevabımız belli bir noktaya geldi. Ben şu anda sizin bir sorunuz var mı? Onu almak istiyorum sizden. Sizden sorular gelene kadar ben şu ana kadar konuştuklarımızı hızlıca bir özetlemek istiyorum. Önce hedef belirlemekten bahsettik. Bir değişime başladığınız zaman. Sorry Bengt, in the meantime I'm summarizing what we talked so far in Turkish, so maybe some of our followers would like to ask in Turkish. Hedefleri nasıl belirliyorsunuz diye sorduk Bengt'e ve dedik ki çok her zaman ileri, yüksek, ulaşılmaz görünen hedefler belirliyorsun ve bunu nasıl korkmadan yapıyorsun, hani neden böyle davranıyorsun, hani neden böyle hep çok zorlanacağımız hedefler koyuyorsun diye sorduk. Bengt de dedi ki bir hedefi nasıl yapacağını biliyorsanız o hedefin çok anlamı kalmaz, onu herkes yapar. Dolayısıyla önce biraz hırslı ve yüksek hedefler koyup sonra oraya nasıl gidebileceğimizi beraberce karar veririz dedi. Üst yönetimi nasıl yönetiyorsunuz dedik. Üst yönetimi yönetmek de tabii hani burada biliyorsunuz çok sorular geliyor bize sürekli. Üst yönetim bize inanmıyor, çok destek vermiyor. Biz bir şeyleri değiştirmek istediğimiz zaman üst yönetimden destek alamıyoruz diye. Burada dedi ki bu önceki sorunun cevabıyla biraz alakalı. Hedefleri yüksek koyarsanız tabii desteği her zaman alırsınız. Ama orada bir de neden konuştuk? Dedik ki üst yönetimle aynı dili konuşabilmek lazım. Ve onların dilinde, onların kitaplarına, yani işte değerlendirildikleri finansal tablolara bizim işlerimiz nasıl etkiliyor, onları belirtmemiz lazım dedik. Ekip yönetiminden bahsettik. Bengt bu konuda ilk söylediği şey eğlenmemiz lazım bir arada ekiple beraber dedi. Yani satın alma ekibinin işini yaparken eğleniyor olması lazım dedi. Ve bu konuda da kendisi oldukça iyidir. Yani ekibini hep böyle bir sıcak bir ortamda tutmayı başaran birisidir. Tabii bu arada bir takım hedefler koymaktan bahsetti ekibe. Ve bu hedefleri de sıkı bir şekilde takip etmekten, o hedeflerin gerçekleştirilebileceği ortamları oluşturmaktan bahsetti. Sonra dedik ki iç müşterilerinizi nasıl ikna ediyorsunuz sizle beraber hareket etmeye? Çünkü burada satın alma alanında biz ne zaman yeni bir tedarikçi götürsek genelde iç müşterinin direnciyle karşılaşıyoruz. Ya da işte farklı bir iş yapı şekli düşünsek iç müşterimizin direnciyle karşılaşıyoruz dedik. Burada da hani bu işten benim çıkarım ne olacak üzerine daha çok Bengt durdu ve dedi ki ben onlara kendilerinin de kazanacağını her zaman gösteririm ve derim ki yani tamam buyurun başarı sizin olsun, ben yeter ki hedefime ulaşayım, başta koyduğum hedefe ulaşayım, başarının kimin olduğu önemi yok. Hem başarıyı paylaşırım onlarla hem de onların için de iyi olacak bir şeyleri yaparım. Yani onları kötü etkileyecek bir şeyin zaten peşinde ben koşmam, bunu da onlara şeffaflıkla, ölçümlerle gösteririm dedi. Burada iki tane şeyden bahsettik, KPI'lerden, özellikle ortak KPI'lerden ve paylaşılan KPI'lerden bahsettik. Bir de servis seviyesi anlaşmalarından, yani bizim iç müşteriye verdiğimiz servisin seviyesiyle ilgili onlara bazı sözler vermemizden bahsettik. Son olarak da tedarikçilerden biraz bahsettik ve tedarikçilerle ilgili mesafeyi nasıl ayarlıyorsun, onlarla ilişkileri nasıl kuruyorsun diye sorduk. Tabii Bengt'in cevabı tedarikçiler olmadan bizim başarılı olamayacağımız ama bizim de kendi şirketimizin de bir takım hedefleri oldu. Orada ben bir örnek verdim, hatta hedeflerimizi söylediğimiz zaman tedarikçiler de bize güldüler diye. Sonra ama bunları beraberce başardık. Çünkü onları da ikna etmek, onları da bizle beraber çalışmaya ikna etmek ve bir arada olmak önemli. Önden koyulan hedefler çerçevesinde. Bir takım sorular var galiba. Onlara ben bakmak istiyorum. Burada şu anda şeyde göremiyorum. I need to put on my glasses. I'm getting old now. So, what is the biggest challenge you faced in your procurement journey? What is the biggest challenge? I mean, apart from what we talked, this is coming from Kenan Öztürk. He was also a very high-level procurement professional in Lafarge, global VP and for procurement trainings, etc. And he was also procurement VP for Asia. And he's asking you, what was your biggest challenge?
Yeah, I think that there have been a little bit over time. I think from when I was a young buyer and I have sticked out my nose a bit and with fantastic good prices or whatever, and I had suppliers who went to bankruptcy or cheated me, and then to get back home and tell, sorry guys, I have promised something I can't keep. But I think in a more later stage, of course, we have been challenging from commodities where we have been very much dependent on, and with big cost push. I would say that is probably when you have your arm tied and you can't, or the hands tied and you can't really deliver what you have promised, or we have a breakdown somewhere, and we have gone for I will not say single sourcing, but we have limited possibility to fast find other solutions, and we are losing out on the sales side. That of course hurt. So I think I believe in single sourcing in principle, but I also believe that we have to have a very good risk management or SRM work behind. So when you are going big time, when you're getting big somewhere in some areas, that you have a good view on and tight relation with the supplier, so you understand when things go wrong.
Okay, thank you. There's another question. This is coming from the sourcing manager of Home Depot, Orjan Olkun. He's asking you, how do you see the future of IKEA business model in terms of working with 100% private label? Or do you think they need to adapt a change of letting manufacturers sell their own brands to compete with online retailers like Amazon?
Interesting question and difficult to answer. Still, I believe that IKEA will not change their concept. At least not. I can't even think about it. To be honest, I think the strength with IKEA all the time is that they are going for the cheapest solution for the customer. And I mean, if it's good time or bad time, customer need furniture or home equipment, and they are turning to IKEA. And with the size of IKEA today, and the areas where they really would like to fight, they are not easy to beat. They are changing industry. I have been part of that as well. The journey when we are changing the chipboard mill, how to produce the chipboard for just the kitchen frames or wardrobe frames to the products, when you have really optimized everything. They are extremely good in that.
Okay, when I tell people that actually supply chain reported to IKEA, people hardly believe me, but actually that is mostly a design and procure operation, and the rest supply chain is like the side business of that. So yeah. Okay, I'm looking at more questions here. Good. I think we are good. We don't have any more questions, Bengt. So thank you